My faith story we have to go back a little bit. I didn't really ever grow up in that much of a religious household. I remember going to Sunday school with my mom when I was really, really little, before I was in school. But after that, we didn't really ever go anymore, or as much, if at all even. And I had an experience where I lost a really close friend to cancer, and I remember I was about 12 at that time. So I remember always being told, keep her in your thoughts, pray for her and her family, do this and do that. And I was like, okay, I'm 12, I don't really know what that means. So, I tried and I did that and I prayed and I thought about it. And sometimes I felt like I didn't do it enough. You're 12, you always feel like you didn't do enough when somebody passes from a disease like that. So I was really confused and I guess angry. And as part of the grief process as well, those feelings come. But I didn't really want to have anything to do with God, because I was under the impression that, okay, God has all this power, so why do good people get sick? Why do bad things happen to good people? And Katie never did anything to deserve this, but it just happened, and I was really frustrated and mad with at God, essentially, because I had lost one of my best friends, and that was really hard to take. And that was almost 10 years ago. So if we kind of fast forward to college and sort of now where I'm at, I had the opportunity to just explore really spiritual life in the campus ministry office. And it was really just kind of upon my own accord. I didn't really, nobody pushed me to do it, or nobody said, hey, let's go do this. But the end of midterm my freshman year, a couple of my friends were like, hey, let's go to Eucharist. It's Sanctuary now, but then we called it Eucharist, which is the Wednesday night contemporary service. And they told me, hey, let's go. And I was like, well, I've never gone, and I don't go to church, and I'm not really religious, and so I was kind of uncomfortable about it. But then they said, well, it's fun, and they don't, anybody can go. And so I went, and I was really uncomfortable at first. But then I just kind of felt like, maybe I should give this a try and give it a shot. And, after I started going in the fall routinely and almost every day, and one of my teammates was involved on the planning committee, and so I talked to Sam and I said, hey, what why do I feel like I like this? This is kind of new territory for me. But she's like, it's good. Maybe you need something. And a year later, I would really need something. And at the end of my sophomore year of midterm, one of my best friends from middle school, she passed. She was killed in a domestic violence situation. It was very tragic, and nobody ever saw it coming. And she was my rock. She was my person. She was my other half, practically my sister. And to lose her really, really rocked my world. It really shook me. I pretty much had to relearn how to do things in my daily life, relearn how to live without this person who, when I was just having a bad day, I could call her up and be like, hey, I need to cry to you, or let's go talk about this, or go do something. And, we would drop anything to be there for each other, And in that situation, I couldn't be there for her. And I remember exactly where I was and what I was doing when I heard everything, and I just didn't want to be around anybody at that current moment. I was traveling for a golf meet the week before nationals. And so I had a lot on my plate already, and then to add that to it was really, really hard to deal with. But over the course of the summer, because it happened right at the end of the school year, I had to go back home and live at home for the summer before my next year of college had started. So I didn't know what to do. I was feeling really lost and kind of depressed and, really confused and unaware of what to do. And so one of my friends from home had said, hey, why don't you talk to our pastor at our church, and they have like some grief counseling that you could, talk to somebody with, and, if that's something you feel like you want to do. And so I thought, okay, I guess I'll try anything. And so that was really how, like, prayer and being able to talk to God, like, how that situation got me reconnected with my faith journey. And that's how, really, that was the only way that I made it through the summer. I mean, it pretty much saved my life because I was so lost and I had no idea what to do. And even now, I'm getting ready to graduate college too. Sometimes nothing else will fix or help me feel better, and so I'll just go sit in the chapel when I know nobody's around and just sit there. I like to sit in the balcony, and I'll sit there and I'll talk to God, and I'll say, can you hear me? I'll just talk to him and I'll pray, because it's the only thing that'll get me through what I've gone through. And it's funny how things happen in life. Sometimes you just feel a pull, and I felt one, and it's part of who I am.